I hope you guys are all learning C to the best of your abilities, and I hope it's going very, very well. I was gonna have a meeting about this, then I kind of realized that I don't need to pull you all in at once. It's really hard to do right now virtually anyways. So I thought I'd just talk about what the steering wheel project is. And once I'm through with this, I'm gonna go through like what the rules needed for this are. And I want people just to kind of give me feedback on, hey, I think I'd be good in this role, or hey, like, I'm gonna need some more time. And we'll get into that more later on. So, bottom line, what does the steering wheel do? The main thing it does is it reads, interprets, and displays those interpreted CAN messages. And what CAN is, for those of you that do not know, is basically what most automotive vehicles use in order to communicate with each other. And so basically all of our sensors are going to be done over CAN. All of our instructions are going to be done over CAN. It's basically the data process that we use in order to communicate between the electronics on the car and between the sensors. We're most interested in the sensors on the steering wheel. So a big thing is for this is that it's for the driver to see on the C car, like, okay, what gear am I in? What are my RPMs right now? And it's important for the e-car to see, okay, how much battery do I have left? All of that kind of stuff. And then there's also an RGB bar that we fill in order to help with shifting for the driver as well, and that's part of the steering wheel. The second part of that, outside of the actual driving part, is that there are different screens for the various sub-teams. So, for example, powertrain has a screen that is going to be displaying, is going to be displaying oil temperature, fuel level, all that kind of stuff, so that they can kind of see if the car stops for some reason, and they can go run up and see, and they can change that screen and see, okay, this is what all of my sensors are telling me right now. And it's really useful for diagnosing things, or if, we need, the powertrain lead to jump in the car and do like one lap, like really slowly, and kind of be looking at their sensors to see like real time, okay, what's happening when exactly, and it can really help with diagnosis. So obviously something changed for us to need to do this, because there are screens that do work on the cars, and basically they entirely changed the screen that we were using. And that means that we have to initialize those screens and be able to display to those screens, because all these screens, unfortunately, tend to be different from one another. So basically what has been done is the initialization process. I'm going to just kind of go through this real quick. Basically, first, this is the e-wheel branch in Git. And so if you are not in Git, please make a GitLab account, message me what your username is, and I will get you added to it. But if you find the e-wheel project, and then you go into the Schuster test branch, that is the current branch that we are going to be editing throughout this. And then the main actual file we're editing is the FT81X branch. So basically what has been done is this FT81X initialization. And so basically different registers had to be written to for the FT81X versus the old screen, and it also communicates in a different way. So I had to write new functions, these write data spy functions, to be able to communicate with that. And that is what has been done so far. Again, I'm just trying to do a really brief overview for you guys, and if you're more interested, then I'll get in more details with specific people in specific different ways. And that's basically what I did last year with a little bit of help from Patrick Stiles. So what needs to be done are, first is the display functions. I'm going to go over those real quick because they're actually a part of this. They're commented out right now because they don't work with the current steering wheel, because they're for the old screen. But basically, most displays have different functions, for example, where they draw pixels, or they draw lines, or they draw multiple pixels, all that kind of stuff, or they draw text and rectangles, all that fun stuff. And right now, all these functions are geared for the old screen. And so we need to basically take the idea of these functions, hopefully be able to use all the exact same, all of the exact same parameters that may or may not be possible, and then rewrite them to work with the new steering wheel. And then hopefully, if that's all we have to do and then it'll work, that may not be the case. It may need to be a lot more need to be edited, but hopefully if we finish off all these functions and change them, then we'll be able to basically operate the steering wheel where it's at. The next thing that needs to be done is we need to integrate with the C-car steering wheel, because so far this has all been done with the E-car steering wheel code. And what this will entail is just kind of, you know, taking these functions that we did and kind of replacing them over on the C-car side and make sure that they all work together once again. And then the last thing that needs to be done is sub-team specific screens. Right now, it seems like that the screens are a little underutilized by the sub-teams because they don't necessarily know what is displayed on their sub-team screen. What is displayed is often really small and hard to read. It also isn't necessarily what they want to see displayed. So what I'd want is I'd basically like put a person inside of each different sub-team screen, and they'd go talk to that team leader and be like, hey, what do you want on your screen? And then they'd code it, and it'd be a really good project. Just kind of also a way to get really familiar with another sub-team's what they do on that sub team, because you'll be talking to them and being like, okay, what's important? And then you'll be able to understand, oh, that's why this is important. And they'll kind of talk to you. So that's a really great learning experience there. So to go into the roles of it, basically the display functions, that's going to be an expert level endeavor. It's probably people that have done C before and preferably firmware before. And the main problem is that for the next two to be done, the display functions need to be done. So before we can integrate and before we can do the sub-team screens, the display functions basically need to be done, unfortunately, because otherwise we have to redo a lot of the work that's done there. So it's also someone that's willing to start working early so that me and them can kind of hammer this stuff out, you know, in the next couple months so that we can get the rest of this done. My hope is to have the whole entire stream wheel done during first semester so we can move on to other things during the second semester, but we'll see how that goes. Integration, that's going to be more of an intermediate thing. The integration honestly shouldn't take very long, but it's more of you need to have a better understanding of how code works just to be able to integrate and kind of like bounce around and be like, okay, well, I have this issue in this integration and this merging, so how do I figure that out? So this is more something that the workload for it would not be a ton, but it's also, it would be good to have some experience. And then the sub-team screens, this is going to be the easiest job with this. I think it's a great beginner task because you're kind of going to be taking functions that other people wrote for you, and you're going to be using them to display to the screen, you know, exactly what the other team members ask for. And also it means this will give you a good chance to, you know, meet with, interact with other team members on different teams and understand their subsystems. And honestly, you can be an expert to do this. I think this is like honestly the most beneficial one for, you know, getting acquainted, with the team. But those are kind of the three main things. So if you're interested in doing one of these three things, especially these display functions, please reach out to me. And you can totally say, hey, I'm learning C right now. I'm going to wait until I can do my sub-team screens to really get into doing some of the code stuff. But I also would recommend going into GitLab and kind of looking through this, looking through the different functions so you can kind of get maybe an understanding of that if the steering wheel project is something that appeals to you. Thank you guys. Please continue learning C if you do not know C, and just feel free to reach out. Additionally, I'm going to be posting tutorial videos on how to get different things set up. I'm going to be posting a Git tutorial probably a little bit after this video. It's actually, it's mostly done. I just need a little bit of information from someone else. And then I also will be posting a VS Code tutorial and then Code Composer Studio, which is this ugly motherfucker, which is basically what you use in order to program Texas Instrument chips, which is what we use for the steering wheel. So please let me know if you have questions. Sorry about the sign next to me as well, but finally, to-dos, learn C. That's a really big thing. If you haven't started to learn C yet, it'd be really great if you could, because then when we can we're all on campus and everything, we can actually really hit the ground running on the standpoint of getting you started coding, and you don't have to be doing that while other people are doing things. And then the main things are just ifs. Message me if you're not added to the Slack or Snapchat group chat. Please I'll get you added right away. If you're not added to the GitLab, I know a lot of people are not added to the GitLab right now, so just make a GitLab account. It's pretty self-explanatory, and then just send me your username and I'll get you added to it, and you'll be able to see all the code that we do. If you're interested in one or more of the roles, just let me know. Again, even if it's like, hey, I'm interested in doing one of the beginner screen things, so I'm going to be waiting a little bit and I'm learning C, perfect. That's totally fine. If you are confused, this is not me throwing this in there because that's what everyone does. Seriously, if you're confused, I'll talk to you more specifically about it. That's kind of why I'm doing this video thing, is not to cut out meeting with you guys, but more so that if you have like a specific thing, I can talk to you more specifically. And the last thing is, you need someone to talk to. I'm here for you. And then one final thing is I'm gonna have more videos coming out that are more tutorial based. I'm gonna have a Git tutorial coming out here, hopefully in the next day, and you guys should be able to watch all that. So thank you guys. Have a great day. Have a great week. Hope to see you all soon.